Hello, welcome to the Business Spotlight interview series. I'm your host, Barrett McDonald. I'm joined today by Danny O'Hearn, co-owner of Nine Locks Brewing out here in wonderful Halifax, Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. Danny, thank you so much for joining us today. Would you like to kick things off with a little bit about how you ended up on this entrepreneurial journey?
Great. Thanks. Thank you very much. Getting to Nine Locks has been an interesting challenge for both Shaun and I. Shaun and I are the two owners of Nine Locks Brewery. We're cousins, so we classify as a family business. We're also neighbors when we started this venture. My background is with Moosehead Breweries for 30 years, doing sales and doing everything else that was needed to be done to survive with Moosehead. And Shaun owns the owner of Your Father's Mustache in Halifax, one of the most popular pubs in the city and probably the best patio in the city. And he also had a rock bottom brewery downstairs, and he was not allowed to sell his beer outside his own establishment. So today Nine Locks was born because of regulations and not problems in industry, but growing pains, I guess.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. So, Danny, what would you say have been some of your biggest learnings as an employer since you began in business?
Bureaucracy, dealing with government and how much government controls of our business. We continue to work with them on hopefully a positive note to make changes. The other thing is people. Dealing with people sometimes is an individual, and if you got 30 people working for you, you got 30 different personalities. You can't talk to the same person in the same tone or the same way. And sometimes you need to be a little more gentle, sometimes you have to be a little rougher, but it's all for the good of the business.
Absolutely. So what would you say are some of the misconceptions about running a business that you've come into, and how do you combat them?
Everybody thinks you're rich, is the first one. They forget when you sell a case of beer for $20, you don't make $20. You actually have to pay for your building, your employees, your benefits, and everything out of that. But the challenge is sometimes managing our growth. You know, as Nine Locks, when we started here, we had phenomenal growth, 20, 30, 40, 50% sometimes. And it's hard to buy cans, malt, grain, everything that makes beer with that type of growth, because it's just unheard of to see that type of growth in any business. And, to be buying and purchasing and managing, it was difficult. Nice problem to have.
Yeah. Trying to chase volume is a nice problem to have. So what do you attribute your growth to?
First of all, our staff, good people. Try to hire good people. We let them manage their jobs. When we hire a manager for a position, that individual does take place and run their departments. Of course, Shaun and I are still there every day. We're very hands-on. That's one of the reasons we're successful. And the other reason is when Shaun and I started the business, as I said in the past, I have 30 years at Moosehead. I knew every liquor store manager, bar owner, bar manager. Shaun had the product, the knowledge of the product. We agreed that it was going to be quality first. We would never jeopardize quality over an extra, a little bit of profit, but we had to do everything on a very professional level as well. Some companies come in, when we started the craft beer business, it was fun. We came to this approach of, this is a profession, this is our livelihood. And if we're going to do this, we have to do it well.
Right. And that makes perfect sense. So you touched a little bit about your employees and how you build your team. So what qualities do you look for in your employees, and how do you foster that positive work environment?
Well, as any company in Canada or other places around the world, they've had a problem with getting employees. We've been fairly lucky. I'm not going to say we haven't had a struggle, like in the back area in our production plant. We've had some struggles getting and keeping good employees. We look for people that really want to be part of our team. I know that's an old cliche that everybody says that, but people with personality, people that can make decisions, people like to have fun. This is the beer business. If you can't have fun in this business, give it up, because being in the beer business is the best job in the world.
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. So how do you balance your personal life with the demands of running such a growing business?
Well, it's interesting. Shaun and I have two different, two different lives. I mean, I'm single, so my time here is not affected by my home life as much. Shaun has two younger, two younger boys, and you know, he does spend, he has to spend his time with the boys, which is obviously the most important thing. But when you start your business, you work your butt off, you work hard, you're here all the time. And we set the brewery ourselves, didn't have a clue what we were doing, and you put the hours in, and now it's paying off. We have a GM hired now. Billy does a lot of our, a lot of work with us and as a team, and it gives us the ability to have some flexible time.
Absolutely. Well, that's amazing. And thinking back over the last 8-9 years from inception to development and everything, what would you say you would do differently if you had to start all over again in business?
That's a good question, and I kind of mulled over that one a bit. I'm not sure how much we would have changed. We're doing it right, and of course, there's some things you can look back on, some decisions you make, and you may question them. We built a new brewery, here in Dartmouth. There's things you go back and you question some decisions now, but you can't worry about the past. You have to worry about your future and the growth of the industry.
Right. Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. So last kind of wrap up question here for someone who's watching our interview spotlight series at home. What's a piece of advice for a budding entrepreneur who's trying to think about getting going and cutting the strings and jumping into that lifestyle?
Have a passion for what you do. I mean, I've had a love for the beer business my whole life. I've been in the beer business for 42, 43 years. Learn from your mistakes. You're going to make mistakes, but learn by them. Treat your staff well. Those are big issues. You look after your staff. Hopefully they will look after you.
Absolutely. Well, fantastic, Danny. Thank you so much for joining us today, and everyone watching at home. I look forward to seeing you in our next episode.
Yes, thank you for the time.
Thank you.